three-game weekend series between the St. Louis Cardinals and the Cincinnati Reds, and the Cardinals leading the Reds by a half game in the National League Central. And hi again, everybody, alongside Chris Welsh. I'm Tom Brenneman. Welcome, as always, to Reds baseball. What a finish to the game last night. You know, Chris, offense goes up and down. Your hitting, your pitching can sometimes be very good and then sputter a bit, but good defense has been there so far all year for this Reds team.
It really has been, Tom, and the pitching's getting better because the defense continues to field the balls that they get to. Orlando Cabrera, how about this fielding percentage for him? Best in the National League overall for the Reds. They make diving plays, they make double plays, they make barehanded plays, but overall they make the plays that they should make, and that's what really helps the pitcher. You make a good pitch out there and a guy makes a good play behind you. It really goes hand in hand. You don't have one without the other, and right now this defense is really carrying the ball club along with the pitching.
It's been over 2 weeks now since the team was in Houston. They swept that series, you may remember, but that's when Dusty Baker made the decision to change around the lineup a little bit, put Orlando Cabrera in the leadoff spot and drop Drew Stubbs primarily down to that number 7 hole, and it's paid big dividends for this team.
Well, I think it's no secret that Orlando Cabrera has lost a step over the course of his long Major League career, but he's a guy that gets on base, and he's really thrived in that leadoff spot. He's getting more at-bats, and I think the other part of it is that you're beginning to take a little bit of pressure off of Drew Stubbs. He tried changing his whole batting approach when he was a leadoff hitter, and it simply wasn't working for him. So when you get down to the bottom of the order, pitchers pitch you a little bit differently. Sometimes they let down their guard, and when they do that, he's got enough pop to hit it right out of the yard.
Well, look at those numbers. 37 at-bats for Stubbs. He has driven in 12 runs since dropping out of that leadoff spot. Well, when we come back, a couple of guys that have been around a while go toe-to-toe. Brad Penny for the Redbirds, Bronson Arroyo for the Reds. Beautiful high definition, courtesy of H.H. Gray. Reds and the Cardinals in a rubber game of this three-game series. Weather could be a factor. For more on that, let's check in with Jeff Creighton.
Well, not the most perfect day for baseball at Great American Ballpark, but the worst day at the ballpark beats the best day indoors all the time. 68 to start, 70 the seventh inning, 70 by the final out. A few scattered showers not out of the question. Go Redlegs.
Go Redlegs indeed, and today they'll be facing Brad Penny.
Brad Penny's really changed his style around. He used to be a high fastball pitcher, but now he keeps that ball down around the knees, a la Dave Duncan. Really loves his split-finger fastball, so expect him to keep the ball in the yard and keeping it down. Bronson Arroyo, I just love watching this guy pitch. He just has a great feel for changing speeds, working that curveball in there. There are some hitters on this Cardinal team that have had their way with him in the past. He'll have to make some adjustments, but we'll see what goes on today. A battle of veteran right-handers this afternoon at Great American Ballpark.
And a chance for the Reds to leapfrog the Cardinals. They had that opportunity on Friday night, couldn't do it. A thrilling win brings them within a half game of the division lead today. Selling trucks, 33 straight years. By Just for Men for mustache and beard, keep your edge. And by Skyline Chili, you know it's Skyline time when you get that craving for a Skyline three-way or cheese conies. Reds taking the field and meeting up with some of the youngsters who have randomly and fortunately been selected to occupy every position. And Chris, the players will come out there like Joey Votto, give them an autograph. It's a pretty nice way to enjoy a Sunday at the old ballpark.
Well, they've been doing this tradition for a long time, and it really is special. These young kids who get out there and they get to meet a player, they get an autograph, they stand out there at their respective position, then they hustle off the field just the way good Reds players ought to do it, and having a good time. There's a young man looking for a pencil or pen for Brandon Phillips. Say, hey, Brandon, didn't you bring a pencil out here for me? You know you were going to sign an autograph, didn't you?
Good for that little fella. That-a-way, Brandon.
Now, he says, I'll leave when I'm ready, Brandon. I kind of like this spot out here. He goes, I'm looking for my mom and dad. I don't see him.
No, he's saying, somebody told me I got to play today. I don't want to sit around and watch a game. I want to stay out here for a while. Look at that little guy.
That's too precious right there.
That is indeed adorable. Tony La Russa's starting lineup today. Colby Rasmussen center. John Jay gets a nod in right. Albert Pujols at first. Matt Holliday in left. David Freese at third. And Skip Schumacher is at second. The latter third, a former Red, Jason LaRue behind the plate, Brad Penny on the mound, and Tyler Green in place of Brendan Ryan at short batting ninth. And on the mound, 2-2 right-hander Bronson Arroyo.
Former third-round draft pick for the Pittsburgh Pirates back in 1995 was Bronson Arroyo. He's had 7 starts so far in the year. 3 of those starts have been quality starts, but he's coming off his better outing, maybe his best outing of the year. That was against the Pittsburgh Pirates in PNC Park in Pittsburgh his last time out. Hopefully he'll be able to get that same stuff going. Interesting on Arroyo's last start, though, from what I noticed, he used a lot more of his changeup fastball than he did his normal curveball. So with the St. Louis Cardinals trying to get some left-handers in the lineup today, we'll see if he'll go back to that changeup or he'll use more curveballs this afternoon.
All right, here we go. Colby Rasmus checks in at 287 home runs, 16 batted in. He hit number 7 in the game last night, a solo shot to center off Mike Lee. And the first pitch in there, a strike to this game is underway. Joe West, the umpire at first. Angel, or behind the plate, I beg your pardon. Angel Hernandez at first. Paul Schreiber at second. And Rob Drake is at third. 1-1 to Rasmus. Slow roller down to Rolen, and the one-time Cardinal will throw out the current one to the first out of the game. Let's take a look at the Reds defensively, presented by Ford. Same group we've seen. Left, center, and right. Gomes, Stubbs, and Bruce. Rolen, Cabrera, Phillips, and Votto third to first. In a battery today of Bronson Arroyo and Ryan Hannigan. Well, his first 2 games have been very, very exciting. 1-run games, both by a final count of 4-3. And both teams trying to come back in their half of the 9th inning. Reds got a run but came up 1 short on Friday night. The Cardinals got a run and had the tying run thrown out at the plate in the 9th inning to end the game here last night. John Jay in place of Ryan Ludwig in right field on this Sunday, and it's a ball and a strike to Jay. Pop up, shallow center. Stubbs coming hard, and he will slide and is unable to get there. Boy, that looked like a play that somebody should have made. Stubbs had to come a long way to get it. It was far closer to the shortstop position.
It really was. Look at Orlando Cabrera going back on this. He's got a beat on it, thinks he's got it, but I think he hears the footsteps, and maybe Drew Stubbs was verbally calling him off of that ball. That's what it looked like. Can't tell if he yelled for it or not, but that's too bad. You make a real good pitch like that for Arroyo, and the ball ends up, should have been catchable, was not.
Well, now in the very first inning of the game, the Reds are going to intentionally walk Albert Pujols. How about this?
Well, if you've been listening to the local talk shows on sports radio here in Cincinnati, this is really the predominant theme. Every time the Reds play the Cardinals, whether it's in St. Louis or Cincinnati, a lot of people call and say, why do we pitch to this guy? And, you know, with the Cardinals offense struggling the way they are, there are a bunch of guys in this lineup right now that are having a hard time getting their share of hits. Why pitch to the best hitter in the game of baseball? So you set up a double play ball. Maybe you get Bronson Arroyo to be able to roll one over and get out of this inning unscathed.
Albert will end up leading the league undeniably when all is said and done this year in that category. And really until Holiday, who's had a great major league career. I mean, there's no 2 ways about that. You're always rolling the dice that he gives him a 3-0 lead with 1 crack at the bat. But the bottom line is Holiday has 1 hit in this series, and that was an infield hit. 2 on, 1 out. Ball 1 to Matt Holliday.
And the other thing you remember is that even though Bronson Arroyo is not a prolific ground ball pitcher, he did last year throw 24 ground ball double plays. So he'll turn that little sinking fastball over. Maybe Holliday will roll over on it.
1-1 to Matt Holliday. Well, Pujols has proven to the Reds on so many occasions, especially the last couple of years, including twice already this year. The Reds know that he can beat them. And now they're going to have Holiday prove if he can beat them.
Well, Holiday, typical of a big, strong slugger, loves to get those arms extended. And maybe your best shot for a double play ball is either a slow curveball down and away or a little sinking fastball down and in.
2 on, 1 out, 2-1 to Holiday. Here's that ground ball double play you were talking about, and there it is. They intentionally walk Pujols in the opening inning. And at least for one at bat on this Sunday afternoon, they take care of Holiday in a 7 runs.
How we were talking about that two-seam sinking fastball. You could not have put it in a better spot for Bronson Arroyo, and that's about as easy a double play as you will see. The four-hopper to the shortstop Cabrera, turned over by Brandon Phillips. And, early on, the strategy, you take command of a ball game sometimes as a pitcher. Sometimes you do it early on as a manager. And Dusty Baker, you're right, Tom, decided that Albert Pujols was not the guy that was going to beat the Reds and set the tone of this ball game. Take the bat out of his hands and let Matt Holliday become a hero or a GOAT. And a ground ball double play got Arroyo and the Reds out of the inning.
So now the Reds get a look at Brad Penny. He's having an outstanding year. He's lost 3 games in a row despite posting quality starts in all 3, and has had very good success in his career against the Reds, including this year. It's already his 3rd start against Cincinnati. Back on the 8th against the Reds, he left after 7 innings with a game tied at 1, and the Reds would win that game on the home run by Johnny Gomes in the bottom of the 9th. Orlando Cabrera shoots one into right field down the line, and this will be for extra bases. And what a way to get it started in the bottom of the 1st inning. A 2-base hit by Cabrera. Take a look at Dusty's lineup today. Cabrera leads off. He'll be followed by Brandon Phillips and Joey Votto. Scott Rolen in the cleanup spot. Jay Bruce in right. Johnny Gomes has had a great series. So has Drew Stubbs. Stubbs has knocked in 5 runs in the first 2 games. Ryan Hannigan behind the plate. Bronson Arroyo on the mound. Boy, if Phillips, Votto, and Rolen can get this thing started, the bottom part of the order, and we talked about it a lot last night. I mean, the group of Bruce and Gomes and Stubbs have been lights out so far in the first 2 games. Very quiet between Phillips, Votto, and Rolen.
Well, they seem to really bear down the Cardinal pitchers on the middle part of the lineup, but Brandon Phillips seems to be one step behind the adjustment Cardinals pitchers have made with him. They tease him outside, then they get him out inside, then they tease him inside, and they go back outside. Tough to cover both sides of the plate.
Cardinals defensively believing Phillips might be bunting. Instead, he swings away and lets a fly ball into right that should advance a runner on to third. And tagging and going to third is Cabrera. So even though it's an out, a big high five over there. Billy Hatcher and Brandon Phillips and his teammates will meet him at the end of the dugout for advancing the runner.
Good job by Brandon Phillips right there. That's a must early on. You got a double to lead the ball game off. You have to get that runner to third base. Now it makes it so much easier for Joey Votto, the Reds' best hitter, to try to get that guy in from third.
A lot of life in that Reds dugout these days, Chris. A lot of life.
Boy, they were loose in the clubhouse this morning, too. They had the music going. Today it was salsa music that they were playing in there. And I don't know whether it was Francisco Cordero or Orlando Cabrera, but they had their CD of choice on, and they were rocking it.
Now Joey Votto. Quickly behind a strike, a runner at third with 1 out. Votto 0 for 3 last night, struck out twice, and was 0 for 4 in the series opener. You may recall Votto came into this series in the month of May batting .372. The Cardinals have slowed him down. And quickly ahead is Penny, 0-2. The Cardinals behind Penny today. Presented by Ford. Holiday, Rasmus, and Jay in right field. Freeze and Pujols on the corner. Schumacher at second. Tyler Green gets his first start of the series at short. And a battery of Brad Penny and Jason LaRue for Yadier Molina. The Cardinals are conceding the run in their middle infield. Anything hit right at the third baseman, and now they come charging in before Penny delivers a pitch, and it's outside. Again, the Cardinal middle infield backs up. They were standing back there just as Penny began to move towards the plate and came charging in, both Green at short and Schumacher at second. Let's see if they do it again. Well, here comes a shortstop. And it's 2-2 to Votto.
You know, that has a couple of different effects. When you have those position players moving around the infield, one, you try to confuse the runner at third base. So if it normally hits to the shortstop and he's playing back, he's going to score. But if the shortstop moves in on the pitch, he has to pick that up. The other thing it does, it distracts the hitter, because the hitter's looking all over the place and he sees these guys in motion, and sometimes that can take your eye off the ball.
They come in again on the 2-2, and again they try to pound Votto inside, whether it be fastballs or breaking balls. And Penny, after getting ahead 0-2, has now run the count full. Joey Votto trying to get the Reds on the board in the bottom of the first inning. Cabrera at third, 1 out. 3 balls, 2 strikes, and here it comes from Penny. We'll do it again.
You know, you can move all the defenders that you want. You can bring them in, move them back, go them side to side. They can even set picks for each other if they want. But really the bottom line is how well that hitter is able to stay focused and concentrated on the release point of the pitch. Joey Votto, to him, he doesn't care where these guys are playing. He's got to make sure he centers the baseball.
3-2 once more. And once more, Votto able to spoil it, fouls it away, and he's hoping for a better pitch.
Yeah, he's waiting and waiting right there. He's showing Brad Penny and the Cardinals that, you know, you go ahead and throw a breaking ball, I'm going to wait back on it. And right now I'm spoiling your fastball. So he's really right where he wants to be. If he's pulling that fastball foul down the right field line, he's cheating to get ahead of it. Right now he's waiting a long time, letting that ball get deep.
This will be the 8th pitch in this at bat to Joey Votto. And a high pop-up will not get the run in. Crossing in the foul ground is Tyler Green, and the struggles for Votto in this series at least continue. Still without a hit. Well, the Cardinals' number 4 hitter had a chance to do damage in the top of the inning. Holiday ended the inning with 2 on and 1 out by bouncing into a double play. And now the Reds cleanup hitter, the one-time Cardinal Scott Rolen, gets a chance to get his team on the board. Rolen at .263, 6 home runs and 15 runs batted in. Ball 1. Brad Penny has been around a long time. Originally drafted by the Arizona Diamondbacks, was traded to the Florida Marlins in 1999 and made it the following year to the Major League Club. That one fouled away. Penny in 2003. A mainstay in that Marlin rotation, a team which, of course, won the World Series. Penny has twice pitched in the Division Series for the Marlins in 03, for the Dodgers in 06, and has pitched in an LCS and a World Series. By the way, the only year he pitched in the World Series, 2-0, 2.19 ERA.
You know, Penny's had kind of an interesting career. Some people say that he's somewhat of an underachiever, even though he's over about 20 games over 500 in his career. He's a guy that has had 2 back-to-back years of 16-win seasons, but really never pitched all that many innings. I mean, he would max out at about 208 innings when he won 16 games in 07 for the Dodgers, but that's the max that he's ever given a team.
Hit pretty well in the deep right field by Rolen, and it is gone. A 2-run home run by Scotty Rolen. The Cardinal cleanup hitter fails in the first. The Reds cleanup hitter delivers in the first. 2-0.
Now, we always say that there's nothing more satisfying than a 2-out ribeye, and that's what Scotty Rolen gets right here. It takes a good fastball from Penny at 96, going the other way with it, and rockets it right out of here. But what has to be equally as satisfying to Rolen, he did it against his old team and against Tony La Russa, somebody that, despite what they will admit, they like to grind it against each other a little bit.
Now Jay Bruce, and he rips one into right center field, a base hit. Boy, Bruce really looks good at the plate right now, doesn't he, Chris?
Yeah, his swing's looking good, Jay Bruce is. His confidence level is up. You can see it in batting practice. You can talk to him a little bit more. He's not chasing bad pitches, and boy, that is his wheelhouse right there.
And now Johnny Gomes. Boy, has he stepped up in this series so far. Gomes 3 hits in the opener, a stolen base, 2 singles, a double, scored a couple of runs last night. Was 1 for 3, scored twice, and hit a home run. Ball 1 to Johnny Gomes. And maybe his #1 fan now is Ernie Banks. He was in the booth last night when Johnny came up and he said, man, I like this guy. He said, I don't know much about him, but he plays with a lot of enthusiasm, and during that at-bat, home run. Fastball in the outside corner. And Penny ahead of Johnny Gomes at 1 ball and 2 strikes. Reds off and running here in the bottom of the first inning in the rubber game of this series.
That last
win today puts him in first.
That was at 96 miles an hour. You know, there was a time when Penny would go rare back and throw 96 about 95% of the time. Now they've got him saving those pitches. And that was really the Dave Duncan philosophy of pitching in a nutshell. I mean, Dave Duncan will be the first to tell you as a pitching coach for the Cardinals that, you know, if these guys come to the major leagues and they want me to teach them how to throw a curveball, I can't do that. I'm a former catcher. But I've got a process, a theory, and a program on how to get guys out in this league based on scouting, video, and use of the different parts of the strike zone.
1 ball, 2 strikes on Gomes, and he rips one into right center field. That's another base hit. Over to cut it off is Rasmus, but Bruce goes first to third, and this opening inning continues. That's 4 hits so far for the Reds.
You know, Johnny Gomes really reminds me of a right-handed, left-handed hitter, meaning most right-handers like the ball up, especially guys with shorter arms like Johnny Gomes. And most left-handers like the ball down, but Johnny Gomes is kind of a contrarian. He likes the low pitch, so he's one of those rare right-handers that is really good at hitting the ball down around the knees and even lower than that. And he stayed on that as well as you can.
Well, you talk about how good Gomes has been in this series. How about Drew Stubbs? Knocked in 3 runs, including a 2-run home run in the 7th inning on Friday night. And then last night, Stubbs broke the 2-2 tie in the 6th with a 2-run triple to right center field. So he has knocked in 5 runs in the first 2 games, and now a chance to add to that total.
You know, patience at the plate so important to Drew. Telling me before the game, he says, you know, I can't believe how many curveballs the Cardinals are throwing me early in the count. And that first pitch from Penny, a curveball.
There's another one. So impressive was the at-bat last night, Chris, that he had when he fell behind 0-2, worked the count to 2-2, and then shot that ball the other way to drive in the 2 runs.
Yeah, you know, of all the at-bats in this series, I told him this morning, I think that's your best at-bat that I've seen from you in a long time. Stayed on it, kept the shoulder closed. And he hits it the other way. It's a spinning, breaking ball, not a bad pitch, really, by Adam Wainwright, and that ball just was in the gap, and if you pull off that pitch, that's a ground ball to shortstop.
0-2 to Stubbs. Runners on the corners, 2 runs in, and a strikeout swinging will end the inning. Stubbs saying he foul tipped it, and Joe West says no. The former Cardinal, Scott Rolen, a 2-run home run to put the Reds in front by a pair. Some batters with some success against Bronson Arroyo in the Cardinal line.
You know, when you're in a division like you are here and you play a team 18 times a year, eventually you're going to see these guys a lot. And you see the success that they've had. Not so much experience with Colby Rasmus, but that's a .364 average. Albert Pujols, of course, hits everybody. And Matt Holliday's had a pretty good run of it. That was why, you know, if you look at that number, interesting that Dusty Baker decided to pitch in that first inning to him.
One to David Freese. Reds lead on a 2-run home run by the Reds third baseman Scott Rolen in the bottom of the first inning. For Rolen, home run number 7. And it's 1-2 on Freese. Here's a young man who has been very impressive, not only in this series but the entire year for St. Louis. Freese had 2 more hits, scored 2 runs last night, was on base twice on Friday night. Fly ball to right fielder Jay Bruce. His first time up today is out number 1 in the second inning. Arroyo and Penny locked up, you may remember, in the 3rd game of the year after the Cardinals had won on opening day and then won on opening night. Cardinals were trying to begin the season with a 3-game sweep, and Arroyo and Penny went toe-to-toe, with Arroyo going 8 innings, allowing 1 run. And Arroyo knocked in a run in that game in a 2-1 Reds win. Arroyo did not receive a winning decision. That was a game we brought up earlier where Johnny Gomes ended it in the 9th with a home run to left field. Bronson, over his last 3 starts, pretty much like everybody else in the Reds rotation, has been lights out. A 2-0 record in those 3 outings with a 3.05 ERA. Chris, you brought up how well he pitched his last time in Pittsburgh on Monday night.
That was a big series for the Reds overall, because, you know, they had been swept by the Pirates last time they went through PNC Park, and Arroyo kind of set the stage. And then, of course, the next 2 nights of pitching by the Reds, Cueto and then Homer Bailey, they were simply lights out.
There's a 1-out walk here in the Cardinals' second inning. Skip Schumacher. Yeah, in fact, the run that Arroyo allowed on Monday night, the series opener, turned out to be the only run the Pirates scored in the 3-game series.
And then they went, and it's not like the Pirates have a bad offense, because they went right to Chicago, and I think they scored 10 runs the next day.
Jason LaRue began the season injured. Only has 13 at-bats the entire season, has 1 hit. Ball 1 to Jason LaRue. Jason LaRue has been playing professional baseball going all the way back to 1995 when he played for the Reds minor league team in Billings. And last year, 2009, 15 seasons later, he was part of a celebration to go to the playoffs at the major league level. There's a base hit in the left field by LaRue, so now the Cardinals, for a second straight inning, have 2 on with 1 out against Bronson Arroyo.
You know, Jason's in a perfect position here in St. Louis. He's got a veteran pitching staff that he can catch. He is a good catcher as far as a catch-throw guy. He is one of the best as far as catching a ball from the infield or outfield and then putting the tag on a runner and protecting the plate. And overall in his career, not a terrific hitter, but when you're playing only about 20% of the time behind Yadi Molina, you can fit in very nicely into this piece.
Brad Penny trying to advance the runners with a bunt and fouls it away. Penny has 1 sacrifice so far this year. Bunted foul again, and now it's 0-2. Walk to Schumacher with 1 out. He goes to second on a single by LaRue, and now Votto with a legitimate shot to turn 2, and does. Extremely aggressive defensive play there by Joey Votto. Never hesitated to start for a second straight inning, an inning-ending double play.
Toyota Tundra, he will not care how you pronounce his name.
You're right. I mean, could it be Witty?
Could be Witty, yeah.
I don't know what would make me think that our producer, Christian Roberts, who has a hard time pronouncing Joey Votto, why would I trust his suggestion that it is for sure a Witt?
You know what? Other than the fact that he's your producer, I can't give you another reason.
My producer?
And mine. Don't forget it.
Oh, I won't forget it. Ryan Hannigan to lead things off against Brad Penny in the bottom of the second inning. The Reds are in front of the Cardinals 2-0 on a first inning 2-run home run by Scott Rolen. Hannigan, a whopping .389 batter. 2 home runs and maybe even the most stunning number of all, the 16 RBIs. And I only say that not because we know Hannigan's capable of knocking in 16 runs, but the bottom line is Hannigan has a grand total of 54 at-bats to knock in the 16 run.
Yeah, he went, over 230 or 40 at-bats last year and only drove in 11. And that's the one thing that he is most proud of this year. I've commented to him the other day in front of the batting cage, hey, you're swinging the bat better. Looks like that new stance, new approach is working for you. He says, I'm driving him in. And that's a big difference. Big smile on his face. Because don't you think that wasn't like a 500-pound gorilla sitting on his shoulder?
Well, no doubt about it. 2-1 to Ryan Hannigan. And it was swung on and fouled out of play. I mean, let's face it, Chris, were it not for really a bad month in September, where, Hernandez comes back, Hannigan all of a sudden just stopped hitting. Maybe 2 months. But for the first 4 months of the year when he was playing regularly behind the plate, because Hernandez was having to play regularly at first with Joey Votto on the DL, Hannigan might have been the best hitter on the team.
He was. And there were all sorts of theories. Maybe catching every day was wearing him out. But I think after a while, when you realize that you're in that situation of RBI potential, runners in scoring position, and you don't get them in, pretty soon you look out there with runners in scoring position, and all you see is one big glove. And you say, where's the hole? I can't ever find one. And it really works on your mind.
2 balls, 2 strikes to Ryan Hannigan. And a one-hopper right back to the big fella on the mound, 1 away. Bronson Arroyo 1 for 16, and we brought up earlier that 1 hit was against the man on the mound right now, Brad Penny. Back in the 3rd game of the year, Arroyo's first start of the year, when he knocked in a run with a single to center field to tie the game at 1. Penny saw the Reds again. The series in St. Louis went 6 innings, allowed 8 hits and 3 runs, and the Reds won that game. You may remember Penny walked 5 batters on that afternoon. That was a game, if I'm not mistaken, that was a night game that had the long rain delay. The Reds won 3-2.
Might be right. And that was the game, and you're right about that, because Penny was complaining to the umpire, if you recall, about how it was raining and he couldn't feel the grip of the ball. And he looked like, from a body language standpoint, that he had just given up, that the Mother Nature had gotten the best of him, and he had lost his intensity out there.
Two and two to Bronson Arroyo with 1 out and nobody on. The Reds leading 2-0. And Penny winds, kicks, and fires, and it's bounced foul. The homestand continues here tomorrow night. It'll be a very brief stop for the Milwaukee Brewers. They'll play here tomorrow night and then Tuesday afternoon. And then they get out of town and the Reds get out of town for a light stop in Atlanta. Reds will play down there on Wednesday night and Thursday afternoon before interleague play begins next week for the Reds in Cleveland. But Johnny Cueto will get the ball tomorrow night, coming off his complete game shutout against right-hander Dave Bush of Milwaukee. Then the Reds will see the Brewers ace on Tuesday afternoon, Giovanni Gallardo, and Homer Bailey, like Cueto, coming off a complete game shutout, will oppose Gallardo. Strike 3, and that's 2 of them today for Brad Penny. We're talking about the Milwaukee series, and senior days are back here at Great American Ballpark. This Tuesday, we invite you to take advantage of a senior ticket offer presented by Tri-State Centers for Sight. Reds fans 60 and older may purchase non-premium tickets at half price in advance of game day only. First pitch again, 12:35. Reds and the Brewers. Get your tickets now by calling 381-REDS or go to Reds.com. Orlando Cabrera led off the Reds' first inning with a double to right field and scored on a 2-out, 2-run home run by Scott Rolen.
Hey, you know what we've got to do here, Tom, is welcome the entire town or city of Cartagena, Colombia, in South America, who is watching this ball game. They watch every game of the Reds because their native son, Orlando Cabrera, is with the Reds. In fact, whatever team he's on, the city buys the feed that comes into the town down there. So they get by satellite. They're watching all the Reds games. So, bienvenidos, todos los fanáticos.
Very nice. You want to interpret for everybody at home?
Welcome all you fans.
Well, that is very impressive.
Of the Reds. They're all Reds fans now. We love it.
Boy, those years in winter ball paying big dividends even now.
Yeah, I used to just be able to order a cerveza and then ask where the baño is.
That's right. 1-2 on Orlando Cabrera. Breaking ball is in there, strike 3. So a perfect second inning for Penny. Cardinals come to bat in the third with the Reds in front 2-0. Slick double play here, Mr. Wells.
Well, you don't see it very often. A 3-6-4 double play. In Major League Baseball this year, there have only been 2 of them. The Brewers turned another one against the Cubs, and the Reds turn a beauty right there. Votto to Cabrera to Brandon Phillips. 3-6-4 double play. Our Home Depot double play of the game. Getting more done. What's the tagline? Doing more on defense. And they're getting it done.
Which is exactly why I am more of a proponent for you mixing in some of those during the game.
Well, you need a little comic relief?
I do, actually. Sophomoric, if nothing else. 0-1 to Tyler Green. Green getting to start today in the finale of this series in place of Brendan Ryan, and that one rolled foul. You know the old sophomoric philosophy, don't you? You've heard this before?
Refresh my memory.
The more you study, the more you know. The more you know, the more you forget. The more you forget, the less you know. So why study?
There were times I adopted that strategy.
And I would not endorse that for any youngster watching the game. That is just a little comic relief. Strike 3 call. That didn't take long to take care of Tyler Green. First strikeout today for Arroyo.
You know, one thing Arroyo's got today, he goes up the ladder right here. Not exactly what Ryan Hannigan wanted. He wanted it up around chin high, but a little comeback action. What he seems to have his last couple of games is a better sinking fastball, good control of his fastball, and he's not overdoing the curveballs. There were times we'd see Bronson Arroyo throw, it seems like 60 or 70% curves, but he's gotten away from that and throwing more fastballs, even though he's topping out, less than 90 miles an hour.
Breaking ball, strike 1 to Colby Rasmus. He bounced out to Scott Rolen his first time up. Rolen, the 2-run home run over the right field wall in the first inning. The only 2 runs scored thus far. In this decisive game of this weekend series, it has been extremely exciting to watch. Some of the best baseball that's been played at Great American Ballpark in quite some time.
Well, it really makes a difference, though, when you get a full house like last night. You could just feel the electricity in the air. And then to win the game the way they did last night, last play of the game, being thrown out on a great relay defensive play by the Reds, a defensive walk-off. Wow.
1-2 to Rasmus. Broken bat roller to Brandon Phillips. 2 away. Well, Rasmus busting it up the line. He nearly beat that out. All right, time now for our Geico Direct quote of the game. We were talking about how good Drew Stubbs has been of late. What's Dusty Baker think about it?
Even though his batting average isn't up there, name of the game is scoring runs or driving in runs. And, he's amongst our team leaders in RBIs, even though he's had a tough year so far. And he's amongst our leaders in stolen bases and runs scored. And so, he's contributing big time, playing good defense out there for us, too.
2 away in the inning, and there's a number 2 hitter, John Jay. Jay had that little pop-up basically in a shallow left center field that fell in between the duo of Cabrera and Stubbs and turned into a double for John Jay. 1-1. Deep right center field. Stubbs back to the track at the wall and hauls it in to retire the side. 1-2-3 go the Cardinals. Reds come to bat, bottom of the third, leading by 2. Just log on to FoxSportsOhio.com during the game today for a live chat with Hall of Fame baseball writer Hal McCoy. Of course, Hal has been very, very sad the last 4 days. His dog, Barkley, many of you may have read on his blog, 12 years old, died in his arms on Wednesday night. And for those of you that are dog lovers, cat lovers, animal lovers, know that feeling and what a sad, sad feeling it is. The title of the blog that day, on Thursday morning, I lost the best friend I ever had. And boy, those of us who have been down that road, you know the feeling. We lost one of ours, 17 years old, lost the bear a couple of weeks ago. And man, it's tough on the entire family. But as they like to say, and Hal would certainly agree, Barkley and Bear crossed the Rainbow Bridge together. 2-0 ball game with the Reds in front. Brandon Phillips leading it off against Brad Penny, and quickly has fallen behind. No balls and 2 strikes. Brandon with a fly ball to right field his first time up, but Orlando Cabrera had led off the first inning with a double, and that fly ball to right advanced him on to third. Now Joey Votto was unable to get him in when he popped up to the shortstop in foul ground, but Scott Rolen took care of that, picking up Votto with a 2-run home run to right field. One and two to Brandon Phillips. And fouled out of play off to the first base side. Phillips waving that bat a couple of times, and Penny the 1-2 breaking ball, a bouncer in the hole, and that just eats up the shortstop Tyler Green. And Brandon aboard to begin the Reds' third inning. And has scored a base hit.
Now, Brandon Phillips has had his way in his career against Brad Penny. They face each other now about 20 times, and Brandon Phillips has picked up his 8th base hit against Penny. Puts the batting average up around 390. Make it 400.
Well, now Joey Votto. He fouled out to the shortstop his first time up, and a breaking ball from Penny is on the outside edge, strike one. Penny extremely deliberate to the plate. We'll see if the Reds put Phillips in motion. Brandon 3 stolen bases, but he's been thrown out 4 times so far. Not much of a lead over there, and a breaking ball is under the knees. 1 ball and 1 strike.
Last year, Brad Penny gave up 28 stolen bases, and they'd only thrown out 3. This year, they've had 1 successful stolen base and 1 throw 'em out. So he's 1 for 2. And credit really the catching core of the Cardinals. They really have tightened that up. The Cardinals are really about the toughest team to steal on.
You know, we almost wonder sometimes, Chris, and I mean, obviously guys vary. Pitchers talking about on how quickly they get the ball to home plate, but you almost wonder if teams have almost psyched themselves out rather than taking it to them from time to time, at least with guys on the mound who do have a history. Penny is a case in point that has a hard time slowing down the running game. That one dribbled through the right side. Brandon Phillips on his way to third. Here comes a throw there, and that's something the Reds have done more than any other team in baseball. Go first to third on a single.
Boy, and the advantage of getting that runner to third base with nobody out is huge right here. Brandon Phillips skip hops over the ball as it goes right between his legs and never stops, challenging John Jay, the Cardinal right fielder, to throw him out, which he does not. So they've got him on the corners. I mean, if you play station to station, other than it being a boring brand of baseball, you don't take it to the team like you just mentioned, Tom. I mean, and this is what the Reds have done from a base running standpoint this year. They have so much improved in their approach, not their speed, not their stolen bases, but then the approach on how they score from second base, how they go from first to third, how they take an extra base when possible. You challenge the arms just like the Cardinals tried to last night. They wanted to make the Reds make a play, and they did.
There's a little roller by Rolen that drifts into right field. It'll score Phillips, and going first to third is Votto. Rolen has knocked in all 3 runs in his 3-0 lead, and there's still nobody out in the third inning.
Well, sometimes you hit them and they just happen to find a perfect hole. A little jam shot off a splitter, a 90-mile-an-hour splitter right there by Brad Penny, but it turns out wrong for him. Boy, didn't even break the bat. Rolen finds a hole on the right side, again first to third, and now a guy who's seen the ball real big coming to the plate.
Reds have a chance in this third inning. to make it extremely difficult on the Cardinals on this Sunday afternoon. You're already ahead 3-0. You have them on the corners with nobody out. Breaking ball, strike one to Jay Bruce. Jay with that line drive base hit to right field his first time up, wound up being stranded at third. A single by Phillips, a single by Votto, an RBI single by Rolen to begin the third inning. And now it's 0-2 on Jay Bruce. Talked about how well the Reds have hit with runners in scoring position so far this year. What's very interesting to note among all those clubs right there, only 2 of them have winning records. The Dodgers and the Reds. Fastball up and in, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Of course, Arizona, they can score with anybody. They just can't get anybody out. Well, they have gone down to Atlanta and won the first 2 games of that series. The Reds will see the Braves for the first time this year beginning on Wednesday night. Still 1-2 to Jay Bruce. Take a look at the National League's Western Division presented by Honda. The standings out there. San Diego still playing good baseball. A 1.5-game lead over the Giants. The Dodgers have played better over the last week to get to 2 games over 500. And I need to correct myself about that Atlanta series. I had forgotten that on Friday night, another game where the Arizona bullpen just completely collapsed, and Atlanta won that game, scoring in the bottom of the 9th inning. So today, the rubber game of that series.
A couple of last-place teams knocking each other around in that series.
And I don't think anybody saw that coming with Atlanta. I don't know about Arizona, but Atlanta, you know, when you look at their starting rotation, I mean, at least on paper, it looks like a pretty good rotation.
Well, they're paying some pretty big money out of that rotation. That's one thing. And they, of course, thought they would get a lot more offense than they have. But it's a long season. I would not count them out yet.
No. 1-2 again to Jay Bruce. And struck him out. 96-mile-per-hour fastball under his hands. First out of the inning.
Well, he had him set up for that inside pitch. He went away, 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 and then all of a sudden came right in, even off the plate right there. A lot of pitchers are afraid to pitch inside at any level. I don't care if you're out there 12 years old. You don't realize how hard it is for most hitters to try to get around in that good fastball that's just a little bit in off the plate, not down around the ankles, but right underneath the hands. That's a tough pitch to get to, especially when you're dialing it up at 96. Now, if you can do that at age 12, give me a call.
Oh, no, they'll be calling you.
Because I'll quit this job and be your agent.
Breaking ball away to Johnny Gomes. You know, our old buddy Tracy Jones over on 700 WLW.
Yeah.
His son, Hunter.
Great player.
One of the most, heavily scouted players, I guess, in all of the country. And has met with all but 4 teams in Major League Baseball leading up to the June draft.
He's a senior over in Kentucky, right?
Yes. 1-0 to Johnny Gomes. And a liner into right field, and what a catch by Jay. Easily scoring his Votto. Sac fly RBI by Gomes. Jay nearly misplayed that into a couple of Reds runs, but was able to recover, and Gomes knocks in a run to make it 4-0.
Well, Johnny Gomes is just stinging the ball, it seems like, every time he gets up there. John Jay, who was playing him a little bit close out there, didn't respect the opposite field power that Gomes has, was almost burned. Boy, this guy plays with some enthusiasm, doesn't he?
No doubt.
It wears off on you, too. I mean, you can't walk through the clubhouse with just feeling it.
Drew Stubbs with 2 runs in, 1 on here in the 3rd inning. And now there are 2 out. And this ball is hit hard into right center field. And it is up against the wall. They're going to hold Rolen at 3rd on a double by Drew Stubbs. Almost the same spot where he had that 2-run triple in the game to break the 2-2 tie last night.
Boy, he's really beginning to thrive down lower in the order where some of the pressure's off of him. A little bit of an inside-out swing, stays behind the ball so nicely. This kid is strong. I mean, he is going to be a fine player in the long run, despite his struggles at the top of the lineup.
Well, let's see what the Cardinals elect to do. Are they going to pitch to Ryan Hanigan? I am stunned. Already behind 4-0. With a base open. Now you wonder how much Hanigan will get to hit in this at bat.
Yeah, watch LaRue behind the plate, really where he sets up, if they're really serious about pitching to him or not. Pretty good get-ahead pitch right there. Nasty yacker on the black.
Here you see the numbers with runners in scoring position and 2 men out for Hanigan. Overall, his number 7 for 11.
10 ribbies with 2 outs. Wow.
0-1 to Ryan Hanigan. Runners at 2nd and 3rd. Reds with a legitimate chance to bust this thing wide open. Yes, there is a long way to go. But you get a hit right here to drive in 2. There aren't many games where teams come back from 6-0.
Looking a little sterner than usual. You know, it's almost one of these at bats. Okay, Ryan Hanigan, what we're going to do is we're going to throw the ball down at the knees or lower on the black or farther out away. And if you want to get yourself out, fine. But we're not going to give you one right down the middle.
Well, let me ask you now. If you're Ryan Hanigan here and they pitch you, say, an inch or 2 off the plate, not down, but maybe off the plate away, in this situation, do you go out there and get it?
I think you do, because you're looking at it. I mean, you don't even care about covering the inside part of the plate. If he comes with an inside fastball, you're not going to be ready for it. But if he throws a pitch out there on the outer part of the plate that you think you can get to, you be ready for that one. Now, situation changes a little bit on a 2-2 count. Penny's more than capable of buzzing a 96-mile-an-hour heater under your hands and surprising you.
What he did with Jay Bruce earlier in the inning. 2-2 to count on Ryan Hanigan. And that was a mistake pitch, or at least location mistake pitch from where Penny wanted to go, but he gets a ground ball foul.
You know, it was very similar. The game you talked about, the rain game, where we had a long rain delay and Brad Penny was out there. He was supposed to throw a waste pitch to Jay Bruce and got that pitch out over the plate. Bruce hit it. The Reds ended up scoring 2 runs in the 6th inning, tied the game up. It really kept them in the game that they eventually won. That was right before the rain delay.
2-2 now to Ryan Hanigan. Runners at 2nd and 3rd. And he does go out to get it. Rolls it to Pujols. And the feed to Penny will end the inning. But the Reds get 2 more runs, 4 more hits, and lead at the end of 3, 4-0. In Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers, where you can register to win the Tundra at Great American Ballpark. By JTM, food, family, fun. JTM. By Geico, 15 minutes can save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit geico.com or call 1-800-947-AUTO. And by GMC, we are professional grade. Get a look upstream of the Ohio River.
Well, that's a pretty view right there.
Probably right around the Columbia Parkway. For those of you that have not been here, you see the Big Mac Bridge over to the right, and just to the right of that as you bend around the river is downtown Cincinnati. It's probably up around the Columbia Parkway, looking down on the river. 3, 4, and 5 in the St. Louis batting order for Bronson Arroyo in the 4th inning with the Reds in front 4-0. Pujols, Holiday, and Freeze. Albert intentionally walked in the very first inning of this game. And the Reds, for the first time that I can remember, Chris, are putting on a major defensive shift for Pujols. I've never seen him do this. Have you?
No, I've never seen him do this either, because he's a guy that is usually pretty democratic as to where he hits the ball. But he plays right into it right there. Nice off-speed pitch from Arroyo, and he gets Pujols easily.
I mean, Dusty Baker's setting the tone right from the get-go and pretty much saying, in the decisive game of this series, we are not going to let Pujols beat us early on.
No, you start getting down to the Cardinals, and they start smelling blood early on. But, you take the bat out of his hand, and now you pitch to him when you've got a 4-run lead, saying, okay, Albert, hit it as far as you want. Of course, Arroyo doesn't think that. He's thinking, I'm going to have to get this guy out. He's just not quite got his timing right now. I mean, this offensive slump that the Cardinals are going through, they experienced it during the series in which the Astros swept them, and they come in here not swinging a really hot bat, and it all circles around Albert Pujols, but he's just not quite on it, despite his home run in the first game against Harang. The hits, he's only had 2 of them going to right field, so the Reds put the shift on based on good scouting. That's this season's hits by Albert.
Well, after they intentionally walked Pujols in the first inning, the Cardinals had 2 on with 1 out. And they got Holiday to end the inning on a ground ball to the shortstop that turned into a double play. This Cardinal team will turn around and go back home after the game today. There's a ball back up through the middle, and Phillips is there, and will throw out Holiday 2 away. Time now for our AT&T trivia question for this Sunday afternoon. Rethink possible. Who was the last player to homer 3 times in a game against the Cardinals?
Now, would that be the last Reds player or just last player overall? Last player overall. Well, let's assume that it's a Reds player or somebody who is associated with one of these teams. Now, if you'd asked me last night, I would have said Ernie Banks, because he was in the booth with us. And what a grand gentleman he is.
All right, I'm going to give a couple of hints. I just found out the answer. All right? I'm going to give you a couple of hints.
Okay.
And really, it's going to shave it down immediately.
All right.
Okay. A storied baseball family.
The Bells or the Boones?
Like I said, it would shave it down.
Yeah, it does.
On swinging is David Freeze, and right through the heart of the order goes Arroyo. All right, you want to take a stab at it real quick or not before we go to break? Your answer is?
Well, the Bells or the Boones, and I say the Boones are more recent, so let's say either Brett or Aaron Boone.
Well,
let's say Aaron Boone, just for the grand heck of it. At Great American Ballpark. I can't remember that. Didn't happen all that long ago.
Weren't you the guy earlier, about 2 weeks ago, when we had a trivia question that had to do with hitting for the cycle, and you said on the air, and I'm sure we could find the tape, but I wouldn't want to embarrass you. And you said, I don't care about the cycle, but I know one thing. If some guy hits 3 home runs in a game, I'll remember that.
Yeah. I do remember that now. You come to think of it. Well, thank goodness he didn't hit for the cycle, or else he wouldn't have been our answer today.
That's right.
AB, he's one of the better guys you ever met in baseball.
He is.
I'll tell you what.
1-1 to Bronson Arroyo. Reds leading 4-0 over Penny and the Cardinals after 3.5. Back to the top of the order next, Orlando Cabrera and then Brandon Phillips. Reds already have 8 hits in this game against Penny. Now here's a fly ball into right field to the backup John Jay, 1 out. talking about the Cardinals leading here and going back home, and so far on the home front, the Cardinals are 4 games over 500. But I'll tell you what, in the old days, well, maybe not old days, but last year or two, you go home to play the Washington Nationals and the Florida Marlins. Oftentimes you think, well, we're going to get fat against those teams. Well, I'll tell you, one of the real intriguing stories in baseball is the start of the Washington Nationals this year. Chris, they are 3 games over 500.
That is intriguing, and it's surprising. And, of course, they still don't have the sizzle of Steven Strasburg in Washington, which I would imagine we will see at some point this summer. Wonder if he'll be up in time for the Reds to see him during their trip through Washington.
Ground ball to the shortstop, Green. He'll throw out Cabrera for the second out of the inning. I've heard some rumblings that there are those inside the Nationals organization that believe that will be his major league debut.
That'd be interesting. I mean, he's absolutely tearing up in the minor leagues. He's obviously major league ready, and I think teams will deny it, but that date, and it fluctuates depending on, I guess, who the player is and how it works. I'm not exactly sure, but if you delay the time a young man who's never been in the big leagues before comes up and gets his first major league day, then you delay his year of arbitration and then subsequently free agency for an extra year. So you keep him under your control, financial control, especially for an extra season. If you don't bring him up until sometime in May, whether it's middle of May, late May, don't know.
Brandon Phillips jumps on a pitch on the inside part of the plate and rips it up the third base line. This will be a double and a 2-hit day today for Brandon Phillips.
Well, the Reds have 9 hits now. Here they are in the bottom of the 4th inning, and they've been whacking the ball all over the ballpark.
So now Joey Votto steps in there with Brandon at second base and 2 outs here in the 4th inning. The Reds trying to add to a 4-0 lead. Talked about Votto hitless in this series until his last at bat. And now a chance to knock in his first run of the series. Already a 2-hit game for Phillips. Cabrera with a double and a run scored. Votto a single, a run scored. Rolen 2 hits, 3 RBIs, including a 2-run home run. Gomes a hit and a sac fly RBI. The Reds already have more hits in the game today than they had in either one of the first 2 games of the series. 2-0 on Votto. Fouled away. Big swing and a miss on a breaking ball down and in. Reds, after the win last night, are now a season high 4 games over 500 for the second time this year. The other was when this series began on Friday night. 2-2 on Votto. Foul out of play. They haven't been 5 games over 500 since the 29th of May last season when they were 26-21. Their season best overall last year was 6 games over 500. Reds club has just played outstanding baseball. really for 3 weeks. They won 6 of their last 7, 8 of their last 12. They've won 13 of their last 18 games. And they've done it in every facet. Hitting, pitching, the league's best defense. Votto gone swinging to end the inning. 1 hit, 1 left. We move to the 5th at Great American Ballpark. The Reds in front, 4-0. Time for the Coors Cold Hard Blast. A 2-run home run in the first inning by Scott Rolen to give the Reds a 2-0 lead. Rolen has knocked in 3 of the 4 today. Six, 7, 8 coming up in the Cardinal batting order. Schumacher, LaRue, and then Brad Penny against Arroyo. Bronson in trouble in each of the first 2 innings. Cardinals had runners at first and second in the first and second with 1 out. But both times Arroyo got double plays to end the inning. And there's a base hit by Schumacher, who's aboard for the second time. A walk and now a hit. Jason LaRue singled his first time up. Clouds growing darker. In fact, so much so the lights have been turned on here at Great American Ballpark. There was a front passing through here about an hour before the game that we were told appeared to be veering off just to the south of downtown Cincinnati. And if that were to happen, we'd probably dodge the rain until later in the afternoon. But if it stayed on a straight path moving west to east, that we could have rain before 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So we'll keep our fingers crossed. Two and 1 on LaRue. We have had a glorious weather weekend. The first 2 games of this series. Friday night absolutely perfect, and you couldn't ask for a better day here yesterday and into last night for the sold-out Gillette Civil Rights game. 2 and 1 on LaRue. And now 3 balls in a strike.
Now, this is the part of the order where Bronson Arroyo kind of lost his concentration back in the second inning. He walked Schumacher. Then LaRue hit a nice solid base hit to left field. Then, of course, Brad Penny grounded a bunt into that very unusual 3-6-4 double play. But you don't want to let it get too far here.
Runner going on 3 and 1, and it's ball 4. Throw down doesn't matter. So Arroyo again struggling with a better, or the bottom part of the order. 2 on with nobody out, and the pitcher coming up. Well, you know about the Reds going wire to wire in 1990 to win it all, and the Reds Hall of Fame and Museum is celebrating that unforgettable year. You can experience a new exhibit that brings a remarkable story of the 1990 team to life, presented by Ford. For more information and tickets, visit Reds.com/HOF. Well, now Penny with 2 on and nobody out. As Chris mentioned, he bunted into a double play his last time up and looks at strike 1.
Well, the Reds have what they call the basic play on right here, which means Joey Votto, the first baseman, charges hard from first, and Bronson Arroyo should cut over this way. So Arroyo's got this area here, and then you've got Joey Votto coming in this way. Scott Rolen will stay at the bag, and they'll try to get that lead runner.
Little butcher boy play, and Penny rips one into left field, a base hit, and now trouble, major league trouble brewing. Schumacher a single, a walk to LaRue, and now a base hit by Penny.
A pretty good job by Penny, who couldn't get the bunt down before. That is a classic Butcher boy. You fake a bunt, you bring the infield in, you pull the bat back just in time. You're just trying to put it on the ground. And he happens to find a hole in that big side of the left infield where you've got the shortstop snug to second base and nobody over there.
Number 9 hitter Tyler Green struck out looking his first time up. Green has 1 home run, 2 runs batted in very limited playing time. Reds lead 4-0, but that very much hangs in the balance as the Cardinals have them loaded with nobody out. Grounded foul, strike 1. Chris, when you're on the mound in this situation, what are you thinking?
Well, you're thinking, first of all, you want to get ahead of the hitter. You want to be aggressive enough, and that's what Arroyo's done there. Secondly, you're thinking about a ground ball. You're up 4-0. You'd like to get a ground ball. You're willing to give up a run. The infield's playing back in double play depth. And Arroyo's got a lot of ground balls today. In fact, as I look through the scorecard, he's only got 1 fly ball out to the outfield. So you keep the ball down and you try to get him to roll over on one.
Nice pickup there by Hannigan. 1 ball and 1 strike.
Now the situation changes a little bit. If he happens to get ahead of Tyler Green here, say 1 ball and 2 strikes, then you go for a strikeout. And then maybe you try to get the ground ball out of Colby Rasmus, who has grounded out twice so far in the game. 2 flyouts. Oh yeah, 1 was out to right field.
Swing and a miss.
And when you get a right-handed hitter taking that kind of a swing against your curveball, you've got a notion to go back to it. So Tyler Green stands a little off the plate right there, and he really doesn't. He squares himself up, but really doesn't get himself in a position to hit that pitch that's way outside, right on the corner. Feathered out there again, you've got a good chance.
1 ball and 2 strikes on Green, and there's a ground ball. They'd have to hurry to turn it. There's 1 throw, not going to be in time. So they're on the corners. The Cardinals score their first run of the afternoon, and it's a 4-1 game.
Boy, Brad Penny busted it up down there like a middle linebacker. He went right into Brandon Phillips. Phillips is kind of following him with his eyes into the dugout. He was ready to roll him over. The big Okie.
Runners on the corners, 1 out. Reds lead 4-1, and here's Colby Rasmus, who is grounded to third and bounced out to Brandon Phillips at second. Rasmus runs very well. I mean, you saw that on the ground ball that was hit to Phillips. He nearly beat the throw. Wind beginning to pick up. Skies grow darker by the minute. And we're in the 5th inning with 1 out, 2 on, and 1 in.
Actually, I think that's rain is what we're seeing across the river. Either that or a weird fog.
Mm-hmm. Low and 1 on Rasmus. Fastball up and in, even the count of the ball and a strike. Well, we know Rasmus has plenty of sock in that bat. Hit a home run here last night. Has 7 of them already this year.
That's a position pitch for Arroyo. You come up beneath, you straighten him up a little bit, then you go right back down and away, maybe a little change up. He might be coming back in again. But a change up, see if he'll pull off of it.
And now the rain has made its way across the Ohio River and beginning to lightly fall here at Great American Ballpark.
They're heading for cover.
One ball and 1 strike on Rasmus. A long look in by Arroyo. And out a pitch. He is up 2-1 to Rasmus. Coming down even harder now. And Arroyo doesn't appear to be in a hurry. I mean, this is a critical part of the game. Rain and all. Out on a play off to the third base side, and now it's 2-2.
I always thought it's an advantage pitcher in a situation like this. You get the weather coming in, the ground around the mound yet not saturated, so your cleats aren't full of mud. You still have good footing, but it's a hitter that's got to concentrate while the little droplets of water are coming off the bill of his cap, and he's trying to hit your best stuff.
A very lengthy meeting out there on the mound between Hannigan and Arroyo, and the home plate umpire Joe West coming out there and saying, come on guys, it's raining out here.
He's not the most patient of guys.
No.
But the West Vest is probably hold up to pretty good rain.
2-2 on Colby Erasmus. And a roller down to first. Votto's going to come to the plate, throws to third, and they have LaRue in a rundown. And the flip to Hannigan, tag is made. Second out of the inning, advancing on to third is Green, ending up at second is Rasmus. And still a 4-1 game.
Well, they get the lead runner, but the ironic thing is that the same thing would have happened had Joey Votto just continued to run in at the batter runner. So if Rasmus gets out, LaRue probably stays at third. The runner goes to second. So you still have now 2 outs, runners at second and third. But Joey Votto always play a little aggressive defense. You got to like the way he goes after it.
Right now, a very, very, very big batter in this game. Here you have the rain coming down pretty hard right now. Reds in the 5th inning with a 3-run lead. Albert Pujols is in the on-deck circle. And the batter is John Jay. Swung on and fouled off, strike one.
So if you're John Jay, what are you thinking? I'm getting pitched to right here. He is going to come right after me, throw me strikes. I don't have to worry about him trying to tease the corners with a base open because you've got Albert on deck. That's the idea and the beauty of being able to hit in front of Albert Pujols.
Oh, and 1 to Jay, who's doubled and flied out to center, and that double was nothing more than just a perfectly placed pop-up in a shallow left center field in the first inning. One ball, 1 strike to Jay. And again, ran a pitch in on him. It was fouled out of play, and Arroyo ahead at 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Joe West make a little bit of a fashion statement. How about the West Vest right there? I think might be or one of the only approved umpires' chest protectors like that. Got his own line. Like you and your own line of neckties.
1-2 the count. And that is strike 3 called to end the inning. What an outstanding job by Arroyo. The Cardinals had him loaded with nobody out. They score 1 on network television. Kristen, you and I will be dialed in next Saturday in Cleveland.
Believe it.
The passion and the pageantry with the UEFA Champions League final. Munich against Inter Milan. That'll be from Madrid, Spain, Saturday, May the 22nd at 2:30 in the afternoon in high definition, only on Fox. Now, if I remember correctly, you took Milan.
Correct.
And I have Munich.
And we'll be at the Thirsty Parrot, glued to the tube.
You know, I am hoping, and I might be speaking out of school here, and you never like to do that, but sometimes you're just forced to do it. The Reds lead 4-1 and bat in the 5th inning. I mean, I got to believe that Fox Sports Ohio has a skybox in the Cleveland ballpark, right? And we can get in there a little bit early, 2:30 in the afternoon. The Reds and the Indians will be playing that night, and we are not allowed to televise the game Saturday night. So, I mean, I see no reason why you and I couldn't invite, you know, maybe a dozen folks to go in there and hang out and watch that game in a skybox.
I think they have one, and I may have ruined it for you a few years ago. Because not only do they have a skybox, but at the stadium in Cleveland, they have a dessert cart that comes around about the 7th inning.
Right.
And it is just not an ordinary dessert cart. I mean, they have just about everything you'd ever want on there, including some after-dinner cordials.
Yeah, but
and unfortunately for you,
not for me.
I was out of hand one day.
The last time you did that,
rolled up the bill to maybe excess with some friends that were there.
Someone else's bill.
Yes, we put it on the Fox Sports Ohio credit card, and I haven't been invited back.
Face it in the left field.
$300 on dessert's not that excessive, do you think?
I mean, who hasn't been down that road?
Yeah. For 5 of us.
A one-out single by Jay Bruce.
We were looking for Alka-Seltzer that day, I can tell you.
I mean, I got to believe that our good friend Tom Hamilton up there, or Rick Manning, or somebody, Henry Ford, the general manager at Fox Sports Ohio,
there's the guy that
Tom
can get
Farber,
us back
Doug Johnson. Somebody has to have some pull to make that happen next Saturday.
Hope they still have that dessert cart. Man, I missed that.
Or perhaps far more importantly, I hope somebody has a Fox Sports Ohio credit card.
10-4 on that.
Because there are other things we could spend that money on.
That's true. They may even take that credit card over at the Thirsty Parrot.
He wouldn't be thirsty very long. Johnny Gomes waves through that one. 1 ball and 1 strike. Gomes, another good start to a ball game. A single his first time up. Sac fly RBI to right field in the 3rd inning. Rain has lightened up a little bit, but still raining nonetheless. One and 2 to Johnny Gomes. Those folks right there came ready. Breaking ball in the dirt to even things up on Gomes.
Hey, Reds fans, check out this year's Rookie of the Year. JTM's new 32-count microwavable burgers. Look for them in their yellow bag today. JTM, food, family, fun.
Jay Bruce a short lead over at first, and that one fouled away by Gomes. Penny closing in on the 90 pitch mark. He has 88. And there's only 1 out here in the Reds' 5th inning. Penny throwing a lot of strikes, but a lot of them getting whacked. The Reds have 10 hits in this game. Still 2-2 to Johnny, and a turn and a throw sending Jay Bruce back to the bag. Bruce with a couple of hits today. Rolling a couple of hits, 3 RBIs. Brandon Phillips already has 2 hits. And Gomes right now looking for his 2nd hit. Fouled away. Over the head of the third baseman, Freeze down the left field line, and Jay Bruce will cruise into third base on a double by Johnny Gomes. Man, is he raking. It doesn't matter, right-hander, left-hander, ambidextrous on the mound. Gomes is just hitting everything hard.
But he's seeing it real big right now. Boy, that is a nice controlled swing by Gomes. I I mean, sometimes he goes up there and it looks like he's out of control. Swings big, gets long a little bit, but he's seeing it big, and he is on it. And again, the Reds go from first to third, on to second for Gomes. Every time you look up, if you're Brad Penny, you've had runners to scoring position. Actually, he's managed this game pretty well, because the Reds have had 11 hits now. Here they are with one out in the fifth inning. He's not walked anybody, but he's got 6 strikeouts, which has helped him get out of some jams.
And somewhat surprisingly, there is nary a soul warming up in the Cardinal bullpen. Drew Stubbs, 3 RBIs in the series opener, 2 RBIs last night. And as runners at second and third with 1 out here in the bottom of the 5th inning today, Stubbs, 1 of 2, has struck out and doubled to right center. And a roller up the third base line.
You got to figure Drew Stubbs in this at bat is going to see some curveballs. He struck out on 3 curveballs his first at bat. When Penny finally did throw him, well, it was more of a slider his last time up, and he lined it in right center field gap. Last night, Wainwright threw a lot of curveballs to Drew Stubbs, especially early in the count. I think they figured out that that's one of his weaknesses right now. They're going to try to stay with it.
Oh, and 1 to Drew Stubbs, infield in for the Cardinals. And there is another breaking ball indeed. 2 low, 1 ball, 1 strike.
You know, with a runner on second, the catcher goes through a series of signs. So if 2 is his curveball, and I think it is, the Cardinals are either going second sign or last sign now to tell Penny what's coming. Might be last sign. And the reason they do that is that they don't want that runner at second base figuring the signs out and then relaying them to the hitter. You know, you touch your cap on a fastball, you touch your belt buckle on a breaking ball.
One and 2 to Stubbs. Breaking ball, did he go? And Joe West said he did.
Well, you know what irritates the hitter about that is that you call it at home plate, you don't even ask the first base umpire. That's what that guy's down there for. Take another look. Joe West got it right.
That's big strikeout right there for Penny. So Stubbs twice has struck out. Twice with 2 on. And here comes Ryan Hannigan. It'll be the second time in the game that Hannigan is batting with 2 runners aboard. And 2 outs in an inning.
Yeah.
He bounced out to Pujols in that situation back in the 3rd. Rain barely falling now. Fastball is outside, ball 1.
Happy birthday wishes today to a huge Reds fan celebrating her 85th birthday. Wow. Today on May the 16th. Patricia Berman. Pat Berman is Tim Berman's mom. Tim's one of the left-handed batting practice pitchers the Reds have. He's been around for a long time.
Yes, he has.
And Pat, happy birthday to you today.
Happy birthday indeed. Well, this time, unlike back in the 3rd inning, the Cardinals are going to go ahead and intentionally walk Ryan Hannigan. Well, that could turn out to be a big strikeout in this game, depending on how the rest of it plays out. Obviously, the Reds are hoping it won't be. They really had a chance right there a moment ago to break this thing loose. Runners at second and third, and only 1 out, and Penny struck out Stubbs. He intentionally walks Hannigan. And now it's Bronson Arroyo with the bases loaded and 2 men out. Arroyo's only hit this year was against Brad Penny, and it knocked in a run. Chokes up on that bat and shoots one into right center field, a base hit. 2 more will score. And Bronson Arroyo, a 2-out, 2-run single to give the Reds a 6-1 lead.
Now, sometimes you play all the baseball odds you possibly can, and it's a missed pitch by the pitcher that backfires. And a good bit of hitting by Bronson Arroyo. Puts a nice little compact swing on that baby. Right center field, drives a couple of them in, and gives the Reds a 5-run cushion. Nice bit of hitting for Arroyo.
Indeed. Now Orlando Cabrera 1 for 3. His double scored a run. Strike one, borderline strike there to Cabrera. That appeared to be low. Oh, and one on Cabrera. And now 0-2. Well, you hear the term brought up in baseball all the time about picking a teammate up. Scott Rolen picked up Joey Votto in that first inning with a runner at third and 1 out when Votto popped up. Rolen followed with a 2-out, 2-run home run to right center field. Here in the 5th inning, after Stubbs strikes out with runners at second and third and 1 out, after an intentional walk, Arroyo picks up Stubbs. 2-out, 2-run single. And that's what this Reds team has been doing for about 3 weeks. And there's another base hit by Cabrera. And Arroyo now going first to third right in the very face of Matt Holliday. And it is 7-1 Reds. And now that tarp comes off the Cardinal bullpen mound as Penny is getting roughed up. 7 runs on 13 hits. And we're only in the 5th inning.
Well, he had managed around a lot of Reds hits already in this ball game, has fashioned 7 strikeouts, but in this inning it's coming apart for him. A high fastball to Orlando Cabrera, never a good place to throw it. He loves that high heater. And he sends Arroyo to third, drives another run in. They've scored 3 in the inning. And Dave Duncan out there really at this point trying to just delay a little bit to give the Cardinal bullpen a chance to get loose.
Brad Penny's gotten off to an excellent start this year as Dennis Reyes begins to get loose in the bullpen. I mean, he has pitched brilliantly for this Cardinal team, and this is his first year as a Cardinal. But today, by far, his worst start. Now Brandon Phillips. Ball 1. Brandon already 2 hits and already here in the 5th inning batting for the 4th time in the game. Well, this will be the final batter either way, you figure, for Penny. If he retires Phillips, that'll end the inning. If it continues, Reyes, one would assume, will face left-handed batting Joey Votto next. Fouled away, 2-1 to Brandon. Third, Cabrera at first, 3 runs home in the Reds' 5th. And a breaking ball is outside and low, 3 balls and a strike on Brandon Phillips. Started to and then took a fastball right down the middle at 96. So Penny's still throwing hard. With 107 pitches on the afternoon in his 4+ innings. Cabrera will start at first base. And a breaking ball is a roller to Schumacher. But damage done in the Reds' 5th by Bronson Arroyo. A 2-out, 2-run single. The Reds scored.
Move on to the 6th inning. Jim Day back with you. Time now for our text poll. It's brought to you by Meyer, and playing off of last night's thrilling finish. What would you rather see to end a game? What's more exciting, a walk-off home run or a great defensive play like we saw last night as the Reds tagged out the Cardinal to preserve a victory? Hey, a couple of walk-offs. Johnny Gomes has got in the act this year. And the big bounce at the plate. Orlando Cabrera, the RBI man at the top of the order. A walk-off home run this year. But how about Brandon Phillips? Remember this 3 years back? What a play in Pittsburgh to end the game. And then last night, Hernandez picks it and makes the tag, and the Reds have a victory. So there you have it. What's more exciting? Text 1 for a walk-off home run. Text 2 for a great defensive play. 37664 is where you text your votes to. 37664. This is a tough one. If your team's winning, you'll take either one, boys.
Well, I tell you what, whoever thought of that text poll question today gets an A on my report card. That's big league question. Most of them are tired. But that one's good.
Tired.
Yeah.
As our producer pointed out, the phrase tired is getting tired.
It's okay.
I'm not sure what's going on out there. Maybe they're going to talk about Brandon Phillips, who's right behind Bronson Arroyo at the mound. And is Albert Pujols complaining about where Phillips is playing? And maybe he has excess movement at the pitch, distracting Pujols. Because in the middle of the pitch, Joe West called time, went out to the second base umpire, Paul Schreiber, and said, hey, let's do something about that. Let's watch Brandon, what he did. Oh, he's moving right there, right behind the second base bag, and that's when he called timeout.
Well, you know, you were joking earlier, when you talked about the Cardinals bringing their infield in as a pitcher went to throw the ball, and you talked about, heck, they could set picks out there for one another. Now, can you make a player stop moving around at any position on the field? I've never heard of whether you can ever ask a player to do that.
I don't think you can, Tom. I think it's an interpreted rule by an umpire if the player might be doing it for the purpose of distracting the hitter. We showed you earlier about the Cardinal infield starting very deep with the shortstop and the second baseman and bringing them in the middle of the pitch. But they weren't right behind the pitcher for Joey Votto to be distracted. But you see, Brandon Phillips, he is right behind the release point of the pitcher right there. And the interpretation by Joe West is, hey, you can't do that. You go ahead and if you're going to play to the right side of second base, do it ahead of time. But in Phillips' defense, he may have looked in and seen the sign by Ryan Hannigan and said, hey, that's an outside fastball. Chances are Phillips is going to hit it to the right side of second base. I'm going to move over.
Well, they get Pujols on a pop-up into left field. Albert 0 for 2 in the game. And now Holiday, a fly ball straight away center field. Stubbs has it, 2 gone. Well, it has been a very, very quiet series for Matt Holiday. An infield hit. His only hit during the entire weekend series. And that was on Friday night. Of course, he's not the only Cardinal struggling. He's not the only player struggling, period. Joey Votto only has 1 hit in this weekend series. But the difference is, at least last night and today, Votto has gotten a lot more help from his teammates. To Mr. Holiday. And Arroyo with a 1-2-3-6. Crowd fired up at Great American Ballpark, rain and all. The 7 Coors Light freeze can. How about our little buddy before the ball game? Brandon Fields, this young man's name, the honorary second baseman, came out, finally found that pen to hand to Brandon Phillips. So Brandon signs a baseball, and naturally, Brandon has to find that spot, Brandon Fields that is, where the pen went. And then he's like, somebody told me I got to play today. And they made him leave.
Stand at second base.
And Brandon Phillips, as always, when he's around those little guys, he is gold.
From one Brandon to another.
Our Coors Light freeze can brought to you by Frost Brewed Coors Light. And it doesn't matter if it's Brandon Fields or any little kids that are around Brandon Phillips. In fact, my 2 kids, they love Brandon Phillips. Because he is as sweet as the day is long when he gets around those little guys, isn't he?
He's good with older kids.
Yeah, he is.
My son Mac loves him, and he's 14.
Dennis Reyes replacing Brad Penny. Penny got knocked around here today. First time really all year long. 5 innings, 13 hits, 7 earned runs. Walked 1 batter intentionally and struck out 7. Lotto, a fly ball that Rasmus will track down in left center, 1 away. Well, you can chat with Hall of Fame baseball writer Hal McCoy right now on FoxSportsOhio.com, and you can get a complete recap of the game right after it's over by going to FoxSportsOhio.com, presented by 1-800-SAFE-AUTO. Hal McCoy, he's dialed in over there. He said every time we bring up his name for a live chat, literally thousands of hits.
Pecking away.
At Fox Sports Ohio come flying at him.
He ought to be careful what he asks for. But he's up to the challenge, Hal is.
Oh, yeah. Scott Rolen the batter. 2 hits, including a first inning 2-run home run to start the scoring. Knocked in a run with a ground ball into right field in the 3rd. Today is the 9th time the Reds and the Cardinals have gotten together this year, and if the Reds can hang on with a 6-run lead here in the bottom of the 6th inning, they would be 1 game under 500 on the year against St. Louis, and this would give them their first series win over the Cardinals. 2 away in the inning. They will get together again the final day of May, Memorial Day, on a Monday afternoon at Busch Stadium in the first 2 days of June. So 12 meetings in the first 2 months of the season. So there will only be 6 more games over the final 4 months of the season between the Reds and the Cardinals. Jay Bruce, a pair of singles, has scored a run. That one pulled foul. That's why a lot of times coming into this series on Friday night when it began, the Reds were a half game out of first. And, you know, really there are so many of these kinds of series all over baseball, whether they be in April, whether they be in May, heck, the first week of June. And you know, really all the noise, and that's all it is just noise of the various answers you get from all the parties involved. We'll talk more about it in a moment. Bottom line is you're playing the team that you're trying to catch in the division. Doesn't matter if it's in April, May, or September. AT&T, find out what's possible with the nation's fastest 3G network. AT&T, rethink possible. By your Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky Honda dealers. Visit mycincinnatihondadealer.com. and by Grainger with over 900,000 products for the ones who get it done. Red starting pitching getting it done again today. Bronson Arroyo's allowed a run on 4 base hits as we begin the 7th inning. And the Reds have a 7-1 lead. The Reds win today, and they go into first in the National League Central by a half game. You know, Chris, we went to break as Schumacher looks at a pitch low, 1-1. You know, you hear it on both sides. I mean, we heard it from Tony La Russa. We heard a little bit about it from Dusty Baker. You hear it from players. You know, when they were asked about, well, really how important is this series? You know, you're in May, you're a half game out of first, and on and on and on and on. And it's almost like people are hesitant to say, man, this is a big series. We got to take it to the other team. Because they want to cover losses on the backside oftentimes. So if you get beat 2 out of 3, then you're not asked about it and say, well, you know, you're the one that said it was a big series, so this has got to be a big disappointment.
Well, in the big scheme of things, it's a 3-game series out of 162 games you play. But from a posturing standpoint, I think it means more to the Reds than it does to the St. Louis Cardinals. Yes, the Cardinals want to come in here and continue to take care of business against the Reds. They've really looked good against the Reds so far this year and in years past. But so that's why I think from the Reds standpoint, it was important to come in here. And even if they didn't win 2 out of 3, come in here and play well. Play really right to the very wire against the Cardinals. Show them that you're just as good as this team is. And if they can continue to hold the lead today and they take 2 out of 3, then you're thinking, really, this is real good. I mean, that first game was up in the air, a 4-3 win by the Cardinals. That could have gone either way. Last night's game could have gone either way, went by way of the Reds. And this is more of a decisive rubber game today if the Reds hold on.
0-2 on Jason LaRue. And that one blasted into left field by LaRue. And that is long gone. So LaRue had a grand total of 1 hit in 13 at-bats through an early injury. Has come in here today with a single, a walk, and now a homer.
Well, a rare mistake there by Bronson Arroyo. He was ahead of Jason LaRue. No balls and 2 strikes. And wanted to come, I guess, down and in, and he went right up into Jason's wheelhouse. He loves that high heater.
Ryan Ludwig now on to bat for Dennis Reyes, who works a perfect 6th inning. In their strike. Pretty obviously, the difference between the Cardinals and really everybody else in the National League Central for the better part of a decade. Now, I know the Cubs won back-to-back divisional championships, won in 07 and 08. But you back it up over the last 10, 11, 12 years. And the difference between the Cardinals and everybody else in the Central is what happens after series like this. You know, 1 year it might have been the Brewers. A couple of years there it might have been the Astros. A couple of years might have been the Cubs as Ludwig has gone on strikes. And the Reds have had some big series over the last couple of years. Heck, as recently as the 4th of July last week. They were only a couple of games out of first when the Cardinals came to town. That's when Pujols hit that grand slam. You may remember the first game of the series off David Weathers. But it is what happens after a series like this that has separated St. Louis from everybody else in the division. Whether they win 2 out of 3, whether they lose 2 out of 3, it's old news once it's over one way or the other. And then they take it to the next team. So in the Reds' case, they want to build on this thing and start becoming a prime-time player to the Cardinals in the Central. Oftentimes, it's what happens tomorrow night against Milwaukee, the 2 games in Atlanta, the 3 games next weekend against Cleveland, then the 7 games when you come back home, 4 against the Pirates, 3 against the Astros. Those are the teams the Cardinals have just wiped out historically for longer than a decade.
Well, they've done it with a lot of good pitching, and of course with Albert Pujols anchoring the offense. And I think this year, at this point, the Reds pitching is so much better than it was at this time in April. And I think that's a significant change in this Reds team. I mean, here you're looking at Bronson Arroyo here in the 7th inning. He's given up 6 hits and only 2 runs on the heels of Mike Leake pitching like he did.
That one in the air to right center field, and it will nearly be a bad collision out there between Bruce Tubbs and Jay Bruce. And thankfully, everybody's okay, and the ball was caught. A stand and stretch here at the ballpark. They 7 it done and getting it done today early. Scott Rolen. A 2-run home run with 2 outs in the very first inning. He's tacked on an RBI single. And leading the hit parade, 7 runs, 13 hits for the Reds. 2 runs, 6 hits for St. Louis. As Mr. Boggs takes over on the mound here in the bottom of the 7th, strike 1 to Johnny Gomes. Boggs got a big out here on Friday night in the 8th inning. By retiring Rolen with a man aboard, ending the 8th inning.
Yeah, that was a game in which Tony La Russa kind of flip-flopped the duties in his bullpen. Used his normal setup man, Kyle McClellan, in the 7th inning to pitch really a full inning, and then brought in a couple of relievers to pitch the 8th. So he doesn't have that kind of pigeonhole where you're going to use this guy only in the 8th inning and another guy only in the 7th inning. Boggs only had to come in and get 1 out.
Johnny a 2-hopper down to 3rd, 1 out. Bruce Tubbs a strikeout in the 1st inning, a double to right center in the 3rd, and then struck out in the 5th. Two and 0 on Drew Stubbs. Boggs works out of the stretch and delivers a fastball strike. They're in the 5th inning at Wrigley Field. The Pirates are going for the weekend sweep over the Cubs. And the Pirates with a 3-1 lead. The Marlins looking for the weekend sweep at home against the Mets. And there's a strike called on the outside corner, and the Marlins lead 7-3 in the 7th inning. Washington a 1-0 first inning lead in Denver, and Atlanta pounding Arizona 7-1 in the 6th. LA at San Diego, Philadelphia at Milwaukee, Houston at San Francisco later. And Stubbs is out swinging for the 3rd time in the game.
After every Reds game, Fox Sports Ohio breaks down the game and talks to the players and coaches on Reds Live, brought to you by the Kings Honda in the Kings Auto Mall. Visit KingsHondaUSA.com.
Two away for Ryan Hannigan, and that one thrown all the way to the backstop. Ball 1. Hannigan 0 for 2 has been intentionally walked and scored a run in the game. 2 balls and no strikes to Ryan. In fact, Hannigan is the only pitcher included in the original starting lineup today, and there have been no changes made thus far, without a base hit. And he came in with the best average on the entire team. For those of you just joining us, the Reds scored in the very first inning, but the top of the first perhaps setting the tone in this one. There's a liner at Pujols to end the inning. We'll talk more about that when we return. We played 7, and the Reds lead St. Louis 7-2. I mean, really, he has worked 7 innings of 6-hit 2-run baseball. He has a 2-run single. And Bronson Arroyo getting it done here today.
A little bit of an odd game for Bronson Arroyo, in as much as finally today the Reds have gotten him a lot of runs with which to work. Coming into today's game, he's averaged only 3.3 runs in run support. But he's made him hold up. The Reds have supported him with 2 in the first, 2 in the third, 3 in the fifth. And he's got a 5-run cushion. And again, going deep into a ball game. Here he is in the 8th.
And this game not over yet. It is a 5-run lead. You like your chances here in the 8th inning, but not quite finished up. John Jay, Albert Pujols, followed by Matt Holliday in the St. Louis 8th inning. One ball and 1 strike on Jay, and that one is hit hard into right center field. Jay Bruce giving chase. Nice catch by Jay Bruce. Over the shoulder grab in the warning track. And that ball a laser off the bat of John Jay. The Reds, the best defensive fielding percentage team in the National League. And they have been flashing leather all weekend.
I'd like to have you tell me a better defensive right fielder in the league right now than Jay Bruce.
I'm with you.
Man, oh man. I mean, comes to throwing, no problem. He guns him out. He can run the ball down, too. John Jay hits this ball firm. He thinks he's got extra bases there, and Jay Bruce goes right to the edge of the warning track and hauls it in.
0-1 to Albert Pujols. Grounded foul at the third base line, and Arroyo ahead of him at 0-2. Pujols, he intentionally walked in that first inning. We were starting to talk about it a moment ago. The runner at second and 1 out in the very first inning of the game. Dusty Baker demanded that Pujols be intentionally walked. Matt Holliday bounced into a double play to end the inning. Then the Reds took off in the bottom of the inning, and Pujols today is 0 for 3. Well, the Reds take on the Astros Memorial Day weekend, and don't miss any of the action. That's May 28th, 29th, and 30th. Presented by KOI Auto Parts. Come on down for the Reds and the Astros big weekend at 381 Reds. Or visit Reds.com today. Our next homestand will be a 7-gamer in 7 days. 4 against the Pirates Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And then the weekend against the Astros. Oh, and 1 to Matt Holliday. One ball and 1 strike. One and 2 on Matt Holliday. 100 pitches exactly for Arroyo. 2 outs in the 8th inning. There is action in the Reds bullpen for the first time today. That one lined into left center field by Holliday. His only other hit in this series for Matt Holliday, an infield single on Friday night until that 2-out double here in the 8th. And for that matter, Albert Pujols has been intentionally walked twice. He's been walked 3 times overall. Pujols hit a 2-run home run in the 3rd inning on Friday night and has 1 hit since. David Freese 0 for 3 today. Reds leading by 5 here in the 8th inning, and there's a ground ball to Cabrera, and Bronson Arroyo in the biggest game played at least to this point in the year by the Reds. 8 innings of 2-run baseball. Play of the game, you just got to look at it a moment ago by Jay Bruce. Bronson Arroyo will lead off the bottom of the 8th inning, so he will have a chance to finish what he started here on this Sunday afternoon. Arroyo making his 8th start of the year and gunning for complete game number 1 on the year. Not only has Arroyo been brilliant on the mound, but I mean, you can't say enough about how much that 2-out, 2-run single meant in what turned out to be a 3-run 5th inning. I mean, bear in mind at the time it was a 4-1 game. The Cardinals had just scored in the top of the 5th. The Reds had runners at 2nd and 3rd with only 1 out in the bottom of the inning. But Drew Stubbs struck out. They intentionally walked Ryan Hannigan. And then Arroyo with a 2-out, 2-run single to make it a 5-run game. It's a big hit. A 2-hit game for Orlando Cabrera. He scored a run and knocked in a run. 2-hit game for Phillips. Votto a hit, a run scored. Rolen 2 hits, 3 RBIs, including a 2-run homer. It's in the air down the right field line. Might be a 3rd hit. Foul ball. Jay Bruce 2 hits, a run scored. Johnny Gomes 2 more hits, an RBI, and a run scored. Stubbs with a double. Hannigan has walked and scored, and Arroyo with a hit has knocked in 2. It adds up to 7 runs on 13 hits, and really the 7 runs and 13 hits happened in the first 5 innings of the game. Reds have not had a base runner since the 2-out RBI single by Cabrera in the 5th. There's strike 3 to Cabrera. Take the Reds with you on the road this season. You can subscribe to MLB.tv like Chris Welsh does. And you can watch every game, whether it be live or in his case on demand on the computer. Am I right or wrong?
You're all over it. Absolutely right. Love it. Take it with you. You've got an iPod. Or an iPhone, I mean.
Which you have.
Yeah.
Big leaguer.
Nice picture. You can take your voice anywhere I want to go.
Don't do that to anybody. Check swinging a foul ball out of play on 2.
There's a mute button.
Yeah. Need one. It's a good thing.
Was worth the extra.
$2 a month. Phillips with a single, a double, has scored a run in 4 at-bats. 0-2 from Boggs. And a breaking ball sweeps away. Again, tickets available for the final 2 games of this homestand. We have learned a couple of minutes ago that the Brewers are changing up their rotation. Dave Bush was the scheduled starter tomorrow night, with Giovanni Gallardo going on Tuesday afternoon, and now Gallardo will go tomorrow night. He is their ace. And will be opposed by Reds right-hander Johnny Cueto, and the Brewers starter for the finale, that afternoon game on Tuesday, to be determined. The Brewers have been one of the worst pitching teams in Major League Baseball so far this year. I mean, the numbers are downright ugly. Now, does that mean they'll pitch poorly here? Of course not. But a team ERA of 5.24 on the year.
Well, they're playing later tonight. The Brewers are. They're taking on the Philadelphia Phillies in Milwaukee. It's that Sunday night game of the week. Now, it's a funny thing. Milwaukee, which normally in recent years has done real well at home in Miller Park, they're really deplorable there this year. They are 4-13 in Milwaukee, and they've got a above 500 record by 3 games on the road. So go figure.
Ran 2 on Brandon Phillips, and there's ball 4. Well, thankfully, a young lady, an older lady, sitting in the very front row behind the Reds dugout on that check swing foul ball a moment ago by Brandon Phillips, got hit in the arm and appears to be all right.
Good.
Well, thank God for that. Scary stuff, man.
First row right behind the dugout. Boy, you have to just stay awake every pitch.
Swung on and fouled out of play. Joey Votto 1 of 4 today. And you know, in an odd sort of way, it gives you some degree of comfort, Chris, I would imagine, if you're in that Reds clubhouse and you're the manager, Dusty Baker, that Joey Votto has had 1 hit the entire series. 1 hit. That was a single in the 3rd inning today. And yet your team is on the brink of winning 2 out of 3 against the Cardinals.
Well, that's really a testimony more to the pitching, I think, in this series than anything else. The clutch hitting certainly down the order. Drew Stubbs had a good series until today. Very good series. And Johnny Gomes has been tearing it up. So it's not always on one guy, but kind of interesting that both of the main dudes in the offenses on each of these respective teams have been cold in this series. Pujols, except for the home run, you know, the first time up against Aaron Harang, has not done a whole lot, and Joey Votto has been somewhat cold. But the Reds have had their supporting cast step up more than the Cardinals have.
Two and 2 on Joey Votto with 2 outs and 1 on in the bottom of the 8th. Fouled away.
And this is one of those situations that people sometimes debate back and forth. At what point is it rubbing it in when you take an extra base? Right now, there's nobody holding Brandon Phillips on at first base. He could walk to second base if he wanted to. With 5 runs up in the 8th inning, that's about the time in which you say, Uncle.
Well, the inning is over. The Cardinals will bat in the 9th. Bronson Arroyo going for the complete game, leads 7-2. The Kroger meal deal, and it's a deal. It includes a full-size adult hot dog, a 16-ounce Coke, and during this homestand, Pringles snack stacks, all for just $7. The Kroger meal deal. All right, Bronson Arroyo. Here in the top of the 9th inning, going to work on Skip Schumacher. This has been the only part of the batting order that has given Arroyo trouble the entire day. It's the 3rd time that Schumacher has led off an inning. In the 2nd inning with 1 out, he walked. And in the 5th inning, he led off with a single and scored a run. But a weak ground ball to Brandon Phillips. 1 out to begin the ninth. Arroyo gunning for his 10th career complete game. He had 3 of them last season. There's a check swing and ball one to Jason LaRue. LaRue has been on base all 3 times today. A single, a walk, and a solo home run. Would also be 4 starts in a row where Arroyo has just been so good. I mean, so many of these Reds pitchers, up and down with the exception of Mike Lee, started the year so poorly you just couldn't believe it for nearly a month. And now for 3 weeks, they have been absolutely sensational. And now the Cardinals are down to their final out of the afternoon. Nick Stavinoa now pinch hit. Well, Bronson Arroyo trying to nail it down. What has been a big weekend here in Cincinnati. And the pitch to Stavinoa. High fly ball, right center field. Boys and girls, the Reds are in first in the National League Central. The last time they were in first place later than May the 15th in a year, you got to go back to June of '06 when they had a half-game lead over the Cardinals. And after losing a tough one here on Friday night, Dusty Baker's Reds rallied to win by a run last night. And Chris, in the decisive game today, took it to him right from the start in a 7-2 win.
Well, they really did. Got great pitching from Bronson Arroyo. A key decision early on by Dusty Baker to walk Albert Pujols, take the bat out of his hand, worked perfectly as the next batter, Holiday, grounds into an inning-ending double play, and the Reds built momentum and never looked back. So the first-place Reds take time to celebrate this evening and come right back tomorrow to take on the Milwaukee Brewers.
7-2 our final. We'll be back with more in a moment.